friends, it's Woodshed Wednesday, and today I have with me one of the most popular axes in the world right now, the Gransfors Bruk Scandinavian forest axe. I've had this one for about 5 years now. I got it for an anniversary gift for staying married to the same woman for 25 years, but I have used it considerably and have a lot of things I'd like to share about this axe. We're gonna send it out for a field test today, and at the end of the video I'm gonna actually lather up and see if I can trim up my beard a little bit. So stay tuned, it's going to be a fun episode with a high quality axe out in the field. The Gransfors Bruk Scandinavian forest axe is easily one of the sexiest axes I've ever held in my hands and had the pleasure to use. As with all the other Gransfors products, it comes with a nice little axe book with some great history and a 20-year warranty on their axes, as you can see right there. After using this axe for the past 5 years, probably the biggest complaint I have is that I haven't used it more. This is the axe I keep in the back seat of my pickup when I'm up in the woods traveling on logging roads. I tend to also try to keep it nice, but recently I've gotten it out and decided to just use this thing, and it is no worse for wear. It has a nice little sheath, not too heavy, but good enough to cover the blade. The maker's mark on this axe is TT, Tobias Thielen, and I will tell you that this man really knows how to crank out a quality axe head. This thing has the best steel in it. I can easily get it razor sharp, but it doesn't chip that easily. That's the perfect combo that you want for a good quality woodsman's axe. There's a few nicks that I have on the blade there over the years. I file them out a little bit at a time. I don't try to take them out every time I sharpen. But this thing, I've used it for 5 years. I recently took it on a fatwood trip and just oiled the heck out of it. Really laid the spank to a fatwood stump. That stuff was hard like ceramic. I came back with a few tiny small nicks, but nothing serious. And I was able to hone those out. I did a little touch-up filing, and I put it on a stone a little bit, and it still shaves here. I'm hoping, well, just a sec. There we go. You can hear that cutting off hairs. I think all these axes should come with a can of Barbasol. There you go. That's just a quick touch-up after all this field testing, and it's razor sharp again. And it wasn't that hard to do. That's one thing I really like about the steel. I'll leave a link to Tobias's fan page. Many people have been praising him for his quality work at the Gransfors Bruk Forge. Looking at the profile of this axe, you could tell it was designed primarily with chopping in mind. So let's take it out in the field and see how it does, chopping down some green alders that need to be coppiced along the creek. And some quick specs on the Scandinavian forest axe. It has a 2-pound head. It's approximately 6.5 inches long, and the blade cutting width is 3.5 inches. The grain orientation on this one is great. It's a nice piece of hickory, not the finest grain that I've seen. This is a nice handle though, 25 inches long. I don't see any grain run out, so it's a nice fine grain. And the shape of the handle gives you wicked leverage when you're out chopping down trees in the field. Anytime you need to do any chopping, this handle is like a hickory handle on steroids. I would say the biggest thing I noticed was my tendency to swing this thing too hard. The axe is plenty sharp, and with that thin profile, you get deep penetration, even with a moderate strong swing. So a guy needs to learn to back off a little bit and let this 2-pound head do most of the work for him. So before we go any further, I ought to mention the Hudson Bay axe that I have. Has approximately, maybe just a little bit longer handle, 28 inches. But the head is also about the same size, weighs 2 pounds. And we can put it side by side with the Gransfors Scandinavian forest axe. And then you can see that these two axes are pretty much in the same class. The Hudson Bay pattern axe is the axe that all the fur trappers wanted to have in camp. And it was an axe they could rely on for doing camp chores, setting up new camps, cutting firewood, setting up, building shelters, helping to process big game, just about everything you could want to do in the woods. And it was big enough to do that stuff fairly quickly. It's not the lightest axe, but when you're traveling by canoe, when you have stock to pack your gear in there, either on horseback or with mules, this was the axe that they wanted to have with them. Well, now that we found out this thing's pretty good for chopping, let's see how it performs setting up camp and doing camp chores. Maybe cutting a little kindling, sharpening up a few tent stakes, and cutting some small firewood pieces to length. This was one of the nicest anniversary presents I could ever imagine. Better than a Rolex watch, better than a pocket knife, better than a big puffy easy chair. It's the Gransfors Bruk Scandinavian forest axe. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much. So after all those tests, I found out that this is one of the nicest chopping axes, and probably not the best for splitting, especially if it's a large material, but for light splitting it works great. This is probably my favorite axe in my collection. I'm going to continue to keep it in the back seat, riding shotgun with me wherever I go, for cutting trees out of the road, cutting up some firewood, building a campfire, building a lean-to shelter. This axe will do just about everything I need it to do. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Woodshed Wednesday. I'd like to invite any newcomers to subscribe to the West Fork Woodsman channel. Thank you for all your love and support. I'd like to wish you peace, health, and happy trails. Until next time, this is the West Fork Woodsman. Over and out. Okay, I'm really going to do this. Do not try this at home, but if you do, I'm using Barbasol Beard Buster. I think that's what all good lumberjacks prefer for shaving with an axe if they don't have a... Okay. And all I got for a mirror is my compass here. Actually works pretty good. Focus in one hand. Holy cow. This thing's pretty good size. Let's see here. Time out just a sec. I'm not getting real close shape. I could have honed it a little bit better, I gotta be honest. I guess the hardest part is figuring out what to do. You know, actually, looking in the camera seems to be a better idea. Easy now. Keep the mustache here. That wasn't that bad. Here. Chin. Actually, that works pretty good. Easy now. Easy. It's more of a scraping. This reminds me of scraping hogs when I was a kid on the farm. Now I know why a lot of those woodsmen were bearded. Yikes.